Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest album from Clipping. There existed an addiction to blood. So Clipping is an experimental noise rap trio that's consisting of rapper Daveed Diggs and producers Jonathan Snipes and William Hudson. I first caught wind of their music when they exploded onto the scene, almost literally, with their 2014 tape Mid-City, an album that still to this day is uncompromisingly abrasive and noisy and has some boundary-pushing ideas on it in my opinion. Recently though, their work has become a little more conceptual, starting with their 2016 album Splendor and Misery, where the album follows this protagonist that's traveling through space, that's talking to his ship, and somehow the ship falls in love with them. Now this new album has a horror theme running through it, which got me really excited when I heard this was announced. There are tons of lyrics on this record talking about murder and cutting people up, running away from things, being trapped, and of course blood. But this theme of horror and murder doesn't pan out into like a single narrative storyline throughout the album. It feels more like a compilation of singles in this style that's being tied together by those horror elements and some creepy interludes. And the whole record concludes with this 18-minute long field recording of a piano burning. Yeah. I think that they do a good job at capturing that 80s horror feel with the production on here. Although I don't think this album is nearly as interesting sounding as some of their past efforts. It does have this sort of John Carpenter feel in the synthesizers, and the whole thing kind of sounds like it's inspired by a lot of gory 80s campy horror soundtracks. I was never really too huge on Clipping, honestly, even though I have enjoyed some of their work in the past. What really stops it for me, honestly, is Daveed Diggs' delivery and his flows. As a lyricist, I think he's come up with some pretty interesting topics and concepts, and overall is pretty clever, but how he sounds on the mic just becomes tedious to me at times. He raps in this very speedy, very rigid, angular way. He always tries to pack a ton of words into his verses and simultaneously sounds like he wants it to be very audibly clear. And yeah, obviously I understand it's pretty important to have everything he's saying be audible, but I think in the speedy type of way that he does it, he sacrifices a lot of potential to weave in melody, and for me it just comes off pretty awkward, honestly, like we're at some college poetry night or something. And that does happen a lot on this new record, honestly, but when the production speeds up and it gets noisier, I think it fits. But on some of these tracks, instrumentally, they're a little bit more stripped back and skeletal, and it honestly feels kind of awkward, like on the tracks He's Dead and Run For Your Life. There are a decent amount of tracks on this album, though, that I did enjoy, like the track La Mala Ordina. The beat kind of feels like it's pulled off of Tyler, the Creator's Goblin. The track also has some really good features on it, and becomes one of the noisier spots on the record towards the end of it. I also really dug the track Blood on the Fang. I think overall, this track executes everything that they were trying to convey on the record. There's good production on it that's a little deranged. Daveed fits in on this beat perfectly, and the chorus is pretty catchy too. So I mean, overall, I'm kind of down the middle with this one. On one hand, I love the concept and the lyrics on this record, even though it didn't pan out to be some kind of focused narrative storyline throughout it. And yeah, personally, I'm not really a huge fan of Daveed Diggs' delivery and flows on some of the more skeletal tracks on here. I think this might have been cooler if it played out as a whole movie, because the way that it comes together, it is kind of theatrical. And honestly, an 18-minute long closing track just listening to a piano burning is way over the top and probably needed a visual to make it interesting. So yeah, with that being said, I'm feeling a 6 over here on There Existed an Addiction to Blood. All you vinyl heads out there do have a few choices to pick from for this record. Sub Pop had 2 different versions of their Loser Club edition up. Europe got like a silver record, and in the US they call it like the Lamstein edition. There's a clear with blood splatter that looks really cool, so I'd suggest picking that up before it sells out. There's also standard issue black presses, and there's a cassette as well. Links will be down in the description box as usual if you guys want to scoop those. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this record down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you guys want more videos from me, make sure you're subscribed and drop a like down below. And ring the bell as well if you want to be notified of when I put out my next review. Happy Halloween!